What's up, Bars Nation? This is your boy Kimron Korean. Welcome back to another episode of Dropping Bars. And I have with me today Miss Temecia Wilks. Temecia, welcome to Dropping Bars.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Kimron. I'm so happy to be here.
And I'm happy that you're here. And let's jump right in. Why don't you tell me and the Bars Nation, who is Temecia Wilks? What do you do?
Okay, so I was born and raised in St. Vincent, and I moved here as a full-grown adult. Smack dab in the middle of a different world, different culture, and as a result, I had to find ways to keep myself connected. When I'm miles and miles and miles away from the home that I knew and loved. I help clients that want to lose weight while feeling full and without giving up their traditional foods or extreme workouts. They don't even have to work out, to be honest. It's optional. Depends on your lifestyle. So that's me.
Right. And you said you're from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and you said that you moved here as a full-blown adult. Now, where is here?
Okay, so I am actually in New York City.
Oh, you're in New York.
Yes.
New York.
Cold winter right now, but yeah, that's okay.
So, I am in Toronto, so I can feel your pain where the cold is concerned.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Temecia, tell me, on Instagram, I noticed that your handle is the Well Foodie, and I know you just spoke about what you do. So tell me what is the Well Foodie? Why? Talk to me about that.
Okay, so I'm glad you asked, Kimron. So the Well Foodie. So as I was getting deeper and deeper into the world of nutrition, and I know I'm passionate about food. I know I'm passionate about nutrition and being healthy, because we want to live a long, healthy life so that we're able to accomplish the vision, that we have for our life. And I began to realize more and more that a lot of us have this separation. We believe that we either have to love food and then we just eat whatever we want, and then we're going to experience the negative health consequences of that. So there's that side of it. That's option one. Or option two, we morph into this super disciplined person who doesn't care what food tastes like, and we eat grass, and then we're super skinny but miserable for the rest of our lives. But the reality is that those, being a foodie, loving delicious foods and loving the feeling of being full is not mutually exclusive from actually health and health, energy, and, having a healthy body weight. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. You can actually marry them to create a lifestyle that you love and take control of your health. So that is specifically why I came up with that moniker.
Okay, so the health food, that's where that came from. So now, so what you're saying to me is, and based on our initial talks, and so you help people to pretty much lose weight without losing their rich food heritage. Like, for example, like me, I am in Toronto, but I'm Grenadian. Born and raised, love Grenada, love my Grenadian food to the core.
Yeah.
So what you're saying to me is, you help people like me, I suppose, stay connected to my Grenadian food heritage without, I guess, having to worry about the issues of weight and health and so. So tell me why is that important to you? Why is it important to you that you help people stay connected to the rich, food heritage?
Well, it's so important because, I know there is a lot, and, I know I might get some flack for this, But there's a lot of talk about emotional eating, and, we need to, not eat emotionally. But hear me out. A big part of and let me speak specifically to those of us that are in the diaspora, but a big part of our food culture is interwoven with food, celebration. You know, every time we have an occasion or whatever, the food tends to take the center. We have this rich culinary heritage and so on. And when we bite into a dish, okay, that can actually take us back to something when we're like 5 years old. Honestly, every time I have a brown stew, it takes me back to my grandmother's kitchen when I was about, let's say, 5, 6 years old. And I used to run home during lunch all the way from Park Hill Government School to her house to sit down in her kitchen and eat brown stew with bread. And I still remember what it tastes like, okay? It's not realistic to ask someone to relinquish those things because they're a part of our identity. So we cannot completely neglect that. At the same time, we do need to optimize our eating lifestyle to create the life that we want. You know what I mean? So it's very important. And, many times what happens is we don't know how to separate out, how to take the best elements out of your heritage and then marry that with evidence-based nutritional principles or evidence-based weight loss principles. So in order to create a lifestyle that you love, you need to marry both. Because if you just only focus on the culinary side, yes, food is going to be delicious, but at the same time, if you're not following the health aspects of it, you're going to suffer in your health and struggle. And you don't want that, because guess what? Your life is going to be cut short, or you're going to have a poor quality of life, and therefore you're not going to get the best out of life. So you want to optimize the health side as well. So the best of both worlds is to marry both. Marry the culinary aspect with, sensible evidence-based nutritional and weight loss principles for those that are looking to lose a significant amount of weight. And, then you love your life, because at the end of the day, we don't want to spend the rest of our entire life dieting. Come on, we want to go out and do things, have adventures. We want to have deep conversations with our loved ones and meet friends and, travel. We want to do things. Who wants to spend the rest of their life dieting and exercising to lose the same 20 pounds? Come on.
Yeah, I feel you on that. So you're saying ultimately that I can lose the, let's say, 20, 30 pounds without having to go through any of those rigorous exercise, and I can hold on to eating my Grenadian food out here in Toronto without having to worry about, I suppose, getting obese or whatever the case is, as long as I integrate certain health principles in practices in my diet. So ultimately, I shouldn't give up eating my what could be considered, I guess, fatty food tell me.
Okay, I'm not gonna exactly say that, okay? However, you have to realize as an individual, right, what is actually really important to you. And honestly, I can speak for myself as a Vincentian. It's the flavors, okay? It's the flavors and, sometimes texture, but primarily the flavor that hooks us in. That dopamine rush that we get when we bite into something, and it's that flavor bomb. So what I did for myself personally, I the year before, like right before Thanksgiving, I came across some information, and then I decided for myself that I was going to adopt a plant-based diet. Okay.
Right.
Now, obviously, a lot of people are afraid to do that. And by the way, this is not saying that everyone needs to do this. This is what I did personally for me, not just for the health aspect of it, but then, there's some other reasons as well that I won't go into.
Right.
What I did, right? I wanted to see if I can recreate the dishes that I loved. You know what I mean? That was going to be the make or break for me. If I can recreate the dishes that I love and get that same satisfaction from it and get those same flavors and so on. But what I discovered is that once I actually adapted those recipes over, to be honest, some of them I enjoyed even better, because what I didn't realize is that the more you add in different plants and so on, you're making the textures and the flavors get like so complex and delicious that it's just even more of a flavor bomb than the original recipe. So that was actually a surprise to me. I didn't know that it was gonna be like me falling so deeply in love. You know what I mean? So that was a situation for me. Now, however, someone else might decide that, they're not going to go that way. But, it might be something else that they can remove from their diet or drastically minimize that actually is not important to them. You see what I mean?
Right.
It's knowing yourself, number one, and then at the same time, being sensible about what you can realistically eat and have the health that you want. You know what I mean? So it is somewhat customized.
Okay, right. Well, that actually makes sense. That actually makes sense. For it to be kind of customized, personalized. Because I mean, yeah, like we all from the Caribbean, but we want to ensure that we're holding on to that rich food heritage, that rich food culture. Now in Grenada, well, for me as a Grenadian, my favorite food is oil down. That's our national dish, oil down. That one pot cook up where we have our dumplings, we have our vegetables, we have our meat, whether it's chicken, pork, whatever, or the ital pot for the people who don't want, the chicken and so. That's my favorite. That's my favorite food. What's your favorite food from St. Vincent?
Well, I have a lot of things that I love. Okay, listen, I love food. Okay, we were talking about this, how we in the diaspora, we love, and in the Caribbean too, obviously, because that's where we got the love from. We love cooked food. Okay.
Oh yes.
We love
Oh yes.
that stuff. So I have a lot of things that I love. I love curries. I love the brown stew and so on. But I gotta say, if I had to pick, callaloo soup. Boy.
Oh yes. Kalaloo soup. Yes, man. Yes. That's some good stuff. That's the good stuff.
And would you believe it? I have come to the point where I start to realize that a good bit of the reason why we love it is the callaloo itself. It's the greens. They carry like a little bit of a layer of flavor. Well, I live in New York now, so we don't have the dasheen leaf that traditionally you would use. Sometimes you don't have access to it, but we substitute with spinach.
Yes, same thing here in Toronto.
Yeah, you use what's available. But let me tell you, it sucks up the flavors. The texture is good, and then I add lots of different goodies in there. I love growing up. I used to love sweet potatoes, so my grandma would make boiling. Right? I don't know if you know what boiling.
No, what's boiling?
Okay, so it's like a one pot cook up, so it's a very brothy kind of soup. So they would put different ground provisions in there. So potatoes, dasheen, yam, edo, green banana, that kind of stuff, and they would put chicken and so on in there, and they would boil it up. And then, sometimes I would be eating it, and I would bite into a sweet potato, and I'm like, yes. I'm like, yes, sweet potatoes. And I was confused. Why can't it be all sweet potatoes? Because I was just there for the sweet potatoes. But guess what? I'm an adult now. I can make it how I want to.
Exactly. You can make it however you want.
I put like 4 different kinds of sweet potatoes. I put the purple one. I put the Japanese sweet potatoes. You know what I mean? Just really, And then I put the corn on the cob. So what I realized now, when you first discover oxtail or whatever, it's not the taste of the meat, it's just the bone. It's the bone,
Yeah,
what
the
I mean?
bone. That oxtail bone. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so think about this, right? Boiled corn on the cob, right? Take that, cut it up into segments, and put that into your callaloo soup and let it soak up the broth. Let me tell you, when you bite, even the husk itself tastes good. You just bite that. When you finish, it's shreds you have. And it is so good. So what I found is that in the plant-based world, there are things that are very, very similar and delicious and super nutritious, and they're less calorie dense than the meat alternative. So for those that are still consuming meat, what you can do, you can either create your dishes and swap in some plant-based options into that dish, or you can actually do some dishes that are fully plant-based and then have some that are meat-based. The reason why I brought that up is because the more you become flexible with not having to have meat at every single meal, the less and less you will struggle with your weights. Honest to goodness, because you're actually starting from a place of something that's already less calorie dense. Then you're bringing up the calories when you add ingredients in. With the animal products or anything that's more nutritionally dense, you're starting from a high place of calorie density, and then you're adding ingredients. So then it's going up. So it's easier if you start with something that is generally less calorie dense, which is plants. And you don't have to eat salads all the time either, okay? When I after the pandemic, when I gained a bunch of weight and so on because I was snacking without being mindful or whatever, when I eventually realized this and learned how to create a calorically appropriate diet for myself, when I discovered that, it was a real breakthrough for me because it just takes a struggle out of the whole situation. You start from a place that is less calorie dense, and you build on that depending on who you are and your lifestyle, your energy demands, because it's different for everyone. Some people work in an office, some people are lifting, you might be in construction or whatever. So and you're so funny, those people that have those high intense jobs, the high calorie demand jobs, you know what I mean? They are struggling with their weight too. So make the math add up. How is it that they're burning possibly like 3,000 calories a day, and now they have these extra weights, and then they're like, oh my God, I got to go to the gym now. Right. Come on, you work in the gym. Right. Gym. So you should not be struggling. That goes to show how easy it is to pack on excess calories without realizing it.
Okay. Let's. Are you then gonna agree with the saying that it's not so much about the gym and the weightlifting and so, but it's more about your diet and what you eat?
Absolutely. And actually, I think that's what I was trying to get at. Okay. The reason it's 100% us eating in a way that's not in alignment with what our body's energy needs and our nutritional needs is, that causes excess weight gain because of being out of alignment with that. So the solution is not necessarily to throw something into the mix that completely disrupts your lifestyle. It's to reverse the process. Peel back the layers that are actually causing the issue, like fix it. And 80%, and this is something that I knew from in my personal training days, because I started out, training clients in the gym and so on, and it's their diet that made or break their results. No amount of exercise or whatever, whether you're trying to gain muscles, lose fat or whatever, your nutrition needs to be dialed in. And 80% of your results come from that. So why is it that when somebody is struggling with weight, the first thing they try to do is focus on the 20%? let's make it make sense for 2023.
I feel you on that. I feel you on that because I mean, for me, I know I go to the gym every day. I go to the gym every day, but I do know because my wife always said to me, "Hey, you gotta watch your diet as well. Like your diet, you can be coming to the gym every day. We go to the gym together, and if you're not focused on your diet, then you're not gonna lose the weight that you want." So
Yeah.
I'm definitely with you on that. So tell me, I'm pretty sure that along your journey that there are lessons that you learned along the way. What are like 3 lessons that you can share with us?
Okay. So yeah, there are some points that and these lessons are things that you can actually incorporate in your lifestyle. Okay. One of the things that I realize is that diet culture is very, very prevalent. You go on Instagram, you go on Google, and so on. And then the first thing somebody's gonna say, if you are struggling with your weight, they're gonna say, eat less and exercise more. But hear me out. I would say, rather than doing that, focus on adding in things that are going to enrich your diet nutritionally. Okay, before you start taking away things, because the last thing you want to be is hungry out here in on these streets. Nobody has time. So you want to add in things that are going to enrich your diet nutritionally. We're struggling more from a lack of fiber and dehydration and so on, and because of that, then we end up binging on junk food. The binge restrict cycle comes into play in our life, because we are on one hand withholding too much. We're focusing too much on taking away. Oh, gotta cut carbs, gotta eat small portions and so on. But really and truly, if we were to eat the things that are going to enrich our diet and give us fullness and satisfaction and be highly nourishing, then we're gonna struggle far less with our weight and with our health in general. Okay, so that's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, when it comes to your health, all of these lessons are health related, because let me tell you, I have learned a lot of lessons.
Right.
But we're gonna focus on something.
Yeah, of course.
Lesson number 2, you don't need crazy deadlines. Like, lose 30 pounds in 3 weeks. You know what I mean? We don't need to move from a place of panic. Okay? Because by doing that, when we create those crazy deadlines and the insane workouts and so on, we actually put our body under so much duress and stress that it ends up backfiring. And then it's so unsustainable that after a while you just end up giving up. Like, either you injure yourself from doing the intense workouts or whatever, or you're trying to lose weight super fast, like in 3 weeks or whatever. So you end up starving yourself, and then you binge because our hunger signals are trying to keep us alive. So we need to eat sufficient food to maintain our bodily functions. So that would be lesson number 2. And then lesson number 3, figure out what your specific non-negotiables are, okay? And then build a sustainable lifestyle with those in mind. So I'll tell you what mine are. There are some foods that I will never, ever, ever give up, okay? I will adjust them, but I will not give up. Okay, so one thing I will never give up, callaloo. Okay, callaloo soup. It's one of my absolute favorite foods. Okay, it's delicious, and it actually takes me back to when my godmother, actually everybody on in that village, Block 2000, they would get together on Saturdays and they would make callaloo soup. So they would put everything in there. Okay, they would put everything there. They had tripe, they had chicken, they had seafood. They put everything. So callaloo soup, but I do my own version of it. Okay, and it's just even more delicious to me. Second thing, that brown stew. Okay, yes. These are like our Caribbean mother sauces. You heard about the Italian mother sauces.
Yes.
Every culture has them. That what did I say? The brown stew. Okay, so my way of making it, I do my stew with black beans. So it kind of gives you that sort of irony kind of vibe, like when you're having the stew beef, but then of
Right.
course black beans. Okay, so plant-based version. So I do black beans, mushrooms, and then I do russet potatoes with mine. So it's extremely hearty and delicious. Lots of spices and all that goodness. And then the last thing, curry. Okay, we have a lot of Indian influences in the Caribbean. As a result, on all of our islands, we have
Yes.
our own version of curry, Caribbean style. It's delicious. I use chickpeas, so I guess this is the chana and aloo. If you want to call it that, or chickpea and potatoes. It is absolutely delicious. I put some dried tomatoes in there. I put broccoli. Okay, trust me on this. Okay, it doesn't taste like broccoli anymore. You have to cook it down. You have to cook it down and let the curry sauces just seep into it completely. And at my day job, sometimes I do tastings and so on. And I had a young lady there, right? She swore to me that she doesn't like curry. Okay, so I said okay. But then she came back and then she was like, "Oh yeah, I had this experience. Oh, I tried it at this restaurant. Oh, and I tried it." So I said, "Okay." And then I said, "Well, you never know. Try it. What do you have to lose? But to try it." So she tried it, and I kid you not, the young lady came and she was sitting in the chair like that, like she was questioning everything.
She was questioning everything she has been told.
Yeah, she was just like, "I don't believe it. I really like it." She looked so confused. So it's a contradiction because first of all, she didn't think that she liked curry, but she never had Caribbean style Vincent style.
She never had a proper curry.
Right? She didn't have this curry. That's why it's good to always try new things. That's another life lesson, okay?
So you made her a believer.
And then number 2, it was plant-based. So she was even more confused. You know what I mean? Because there's so many ways to layer in that umami, savory, delicious taste. And that's the thing that we crave in the Caribbean. We love umami. Okay? And that's infused into every dish that we make. And there's so many ways to do that. Without making it sabotaging to your health or lifestyle. So those are some things that I've learned along the way, and as a result, I really and truly love the way I live, and I love the way I eat. I wouldn't change a thing.
That's the attitude. That's the attitude to have. Once you love the way that you're living your life, once you're enjoying your life and you're happy, then I mean that's it, right? Because ultimately all we want to be is happy, So so you're doing the thing. You're doing the thing. Great. So tell me, Temecia, if
I was on that oil down there. I have a question. Is oil down the same as rundown?
Well, I don't know what is rundown. I only know oil down.
So that's a no then.
Oil down. Any version of oil down is a version of it. Maybe a cousin or a distant relative. Oil down is just oil down. Grenadian oil down.
So, is the name of the dish? Does it come from the coconut milk? What is the oil in there? Is it actual?
So the oil comes from it comes from the coconut.
Okay, good. I can get down with that. I can get down with
coconut. We got the coconut milk and so on, the saffron. Well, in there and yeah. So that's where the oil come from. We don't like pour like oil in it. Like get some oil from somewhere and put in the pot. Nah.
Yeah. You don't need it. We don't need
that.
Coconut milk. I use that in my callaloo and also in the curry as well because it adds that distinctive flavor that's non-negotiable for me. Listen, I know it's a high-fat food, but you're going to incorporate some high-fat foods into your lifestyle realistically when there's actually a purpose for it, and it is needed in those 2 recipes. So that's something
exactly.
I'm figuring out. So, yeah, that's one of the better ways to negotiate this healthy lifestyle.
Nice. I love it. So tell me, Temecia, if you had a chance to speak to your young self at age 12, what is one thing you will say to her?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a juicy question. So if I had to speak to my younger self, I would say I know sometimes life doesn't seem to add up or make sense, but one day it will all come together. It will all come together. Yeah, I've definitely had my share of trials and all of that jazz. And been through some stuff that made me question. But then when you look back on things, like retroactively now looking back at things, you realize that if you hadn't gone through this or if you hadn't experienced that trauma or whatever, you wouldn't become the person that you are. And, I love the person that I am. So that's something I would tell her.
I love that. You know why? Because I remember when I listened to Steve Jobs' commencement address to I think it was a Harvard graduating class. One of the advice he gave to them was, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. And when you do that, you will realize it's like, why this is why I had to go through what I went through. And I've applied that in my life. Like when something happens, I'm like, you know what? I don't know why this is happening now, but somewhere in the future, I'll be able to look back and connect the dots and say, oh. So I love that lesson. Everything will just make sense in the end eventually. So thank you so much for saying that. And thank you, Bars Nation. We were speaking with Temecia Wilks. Temecia, thank you so much for coming on and dropping those awesome health bars with us. You are greatly appreciated. Vincy Massive. One of my homies, at when I did my undergraduate degree in Mexico, one of my closest homies was from St. Vincent, Fee Hall. Hall Massive. Big up yourself.
Okay.
Yes. Shout out to Fee Hall. So yeah, thank you so much for coming down, dropping bars and dropping those awesome health bars with us. Bars Nation, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow the podcast wherever, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, subscribe on YouTube. And I'll see you next week for another amazing episode where I'll have another great guest for you. So again, thank you, Temecia, for jumping on the dropping bars. And everybody, have yourselves a great rest of your week. See you next week.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.